How long does it take you to get a photograph? A few minutes, an hour, 2? It took me 200 hours to get this photograph you see in this video. Hi my friends, very nice to see you. Today I'm at a really special place and I want to show you a photograph I put most effort in of all photographs I've ever taken in my whole life. And I also think it had the most impact to my photography. Everything began in my youth age. I've often been here for hiking around this beautiful lake. It's really an amazing place here. And I often thought the view in this higher area up there over this lake must be amazing. And I knew exactly it is a waste of time because there's nothing more up than just the tightest woodland. And so it stayed a dream. I didn't think all too much about it. It was just an idea I had in my youth age. And in the winter of 2017, I came back for photography to this place here. I wanted to take a photograph of the shore. I wanted to have patterns on the ice, but the problem was it was too warm, so there was no ice on the lake, and also the snow was already a little bit melted on the surface, so it didn't really make sense to take a photograph there. And then I looked up there and I remembered to this crazy idea I had in my youth age, and I thought, I have nothing else to do. Why not just going up there just to get 100% sure that I was right, that it's a waste of time to go up there. And so I went up there. But as I already mentioned, it was warm, the snow was really soft, and so each step was really heavy. It was absolutely amazing. It was so hard to come up here, but as I was already, I think in half an hour on the way up, I thought, when I break now, I maybe will never come back again. So it doesn't make sense to break. I want to go up there. I just want to have a look. I want to get high enough just to have a fantastic view down to the lake. What's obviously not to see here. It's behind these trees. So I didn't know how it looked exactly. I didn't prepare therefore. I never looked into Google Earth or something like this. Back then in my youth age, it didn't exist obviously. I think the very important thing is that I didn't think about the photo only. It wasn't the one and only goal just to get out a great photo. I got driven by the adventure to go up anywhere, to have a look, to find anything special just for me. And this was really hard to go up, but yeah, it felt really amazing. And so step by step I kept hiking up, and finally I realized that I had not enough to drink with me. I only had my bottle D with me, or definitely wasn't enough. And so I think after around 2.5 hours, something like this, I was here at this place and I saw one thing. I saw that I had nearly a clear view down there. Only a couple of trees were in the front, so I thought it has really potential. I thought about maybe coming back a little bit later, maybe in summer or something like this, that I'm able to go out there and look for any foreground, or at least that I can come away with a long lens shot over the lake. So I went back, and it was 2018 when I came back in April, and I came to the same spot as here. We had a little bit of rest snow and it was really difficult. There's a cliff down there, so it's really dangerous to walk around there, so you have really to be careful. But I realized one thing. We had lots of rest snow down there in the valley, and I began to understand a little bit the possibilities for this area here, and I saw a little kind of band what came from the left with all the greens to the trees back there, and it went over really like a band down to the lake here. And the really interesting thing is, when we have a look now, we don't see it. It was really only given through the contrast of the snow down there, and also through the transformation of the landscape we had in April. So what I did was I took a test shot. No, it wasn't really a test shot, it was a scouting shot only, just that I got an idea from the landscape here. I wasn't really happy with the light wasn't good at this day, but also the colors didn't really work, although the color combination was something I usually really love, but it didn't work here. So what I did is I tried to turn it into black and white. I knew already it wasn't a masterpiece or something like this. I just wanted to get an idea how the landscape looked in black and white, and I saw that it turned out better than in color. So my thoughts were already about maybe to get into black and white photography here for this spot, but I wasn't sure about it. But there was still too much snow. I think on the photograph it's not really possible to see this, but everywhere was too much snow. I wasn't able to walk everywhere I wanted, and so I went home and thought about my possibilities and what I could try maybe, and finally I came back a few weeks later and it became my project for 2019. I came up, I think, 2 or 3 times a week. Really, each free time I had, I came here. I took also some other photographs, but I really spent lots of time here. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm really not sure why I did this, because it was not this typical honeypot spot where you immediately see a composition and which is really strong and you just want to photograph it. It was straight the opposite of this. It was something what I call a beehive spot. If you shouldn't know what a beehive spot is, I will link you a video above where I mentioned a little bit about this. And so I really spent lots of time there. And so finally I went more up there to have a look which possibilities I have. I looked for foregrounds, but more than this, I looked for just a clear view down to the lake. I hiked up and hiked up. I really looked at different rocks everywhere here in the landscape, and finally I got really attracted by this amazing mountain at the left here, and I thought about if I could get even higher up, anywhere where I had really a view also to the mountain face here at the left. It could really add depth to the photograph, and it could really get something special. And I didn't give up. I'm not sure, I was obsessed from this mountain, from this area here. It's amazing. I think if everyone had told me before, hike up there and invest 200 hours of your life to work on a really great photograph, I had said maybe it's impossible. Because yeah, when we have a look around, there are trees only, so it's really impossible. It seemed to be impossible. I really was obsessed. I didn't give up. I observed everything. I had a look everywhere, really in detail. I really thought about things. I thought about compromises. I thought about taking some trees into the frame, also if it would get imperfect. But I really thought it has potential. Here, I think here at this place, here was the first moment where I really thought it has really potential because of the mountain face at the left, because of the view to the lake down there. And I thought anywhere up there must be a place, anywhere, a rock or something like this, any higher point where I could hike up and try my best. So absolutely amazing.
For every spoken word I wish for silence. For every storm I long for peace. For every step I'm taking there's a sidewalk. There's a road, a way to get to you.
And finally, the higher I came, the more I realized that it gets easier to get a view down to the lake, because it wasn't that tight forest what I thought in the beginning. so it got open and open up here. But I also saw that it got really difficult to get a foreground. But as already mentioned, I had been already happy with a photograph with a longer lens with the foreground. Oh, there's a butterfly. He's also interested in my channel. And finally, I hiked up to a tiny higher point here. I will not go up there today. I want to go up a little bit higher then. But I really had the view down there. I got rid of the trees and I had a fantastic view down there, and I got exactly that what I really wanted to have. And because of this amazing mountain face at the left, I was totally clear about that it will not really be possible to get a really balanced photograph. So I thought about to unbalance it, and my first try didn't really work. I tried to get really lots of this amazing mountain on the left into the frame because I thought it's a really important element what defines the composition, but the photograph got unbalanced. But it shouldn't be the last time I went up here. So I wasn't really happy with the weather situation. First time I was here it was really flat light. Then I came up at a time where I got a fantastic light spot at the left here on the mountain, but it got a little bit too much energy here on the left side, so it really broke out and it got out of balance. And then I thought about my first scouting shot what I took more down there, what I showed you already. So I turned it into black and white and it turned out really better. I got rid of all the color contrasts what didn't really add to the composition, and so I also tried to get a black and white photograph up here. And I was really happy, to be honest. It was really a strong photograph. I never published it before, to be honest, because I also didn't publish the final photograph because it took me a year now to process it. It sounds crazy, I know, but I invested so many time to come up here. I really wanted to think deep into it and I wanted to make it as perfect as possible. So this is the first time that I published this one. But finally I thought I invested so much time into this photograph. It couldn't be that it's only a simple composition. I was used to take more complex compositions with maybe ultra wide angle lenses, and I also thought it was a crazy idea, obviously, when you look around to think about getting a photograph with an ultra wide angle lens here without any distracting elements. It's impossible. Also, when I would think today about it, I made already the experience, so maybe I would think different now. But I think if I didn't have made this experience, it were a mission impossible. Absolutely impossible just to think about. But anyway, I thought there are so many rocks laying everywhere here in the landscape. I thought about just keep going up here. Just go up and try for it. And this is exactly what I did. I came here again and again. And finally, I really found the rock. It's absolutely amazing. Let me show you. Absolutely fantastic. What a view down there. It's incredible. And it's really possible also to get a photograph with a longer focal length here from this point. It's really fantastic. We have this amazing mountain face at the left. We have this lake down there. We have also the mountain face at the right. We have these surrounding mountains. It's absolutely amazing. And the really crazy thing is that I also got a foreground. I got this amazing rock here, and I really tried a lot with the composition here. I tried to use this rock as foreground. I tried to use it as a leading element, and I really worked on it. I worked at every detail. And the final problem what I had before I took the final photograph, what really turned out great. The final problem was when I have a look down there are so many distracting things. It seems to be impossible to get an ultra wide angle shot here. Here's so many things going on. And really the solution was just to go down, and let me show you a little bit. So when you go a little bit down and closer, you see that all the distracting elements begin to disappear and we get really a connection to the forest there, but it always ended up in a mid-ground what didn't really connect the foreground with the distance, and so this didn't really work for me. In most cases I use a midground to connect the foreground with the distance. It's also possible to use a midground to block the foreground a little bit from the distance area. So maybe if you have really bright parts back there so that the view goes really fast back there, it could also really help if the midground blocks a little bit. But in this case, there was not really a story here. I needed anything to connect. And what I thought is, it could maybe work when I had a little bit of light spot, maybe at the right hand side. And when you have a look at the trees more at the right hand side on the valley, I'm not sure if you can see this with the ultra wide angle lens, but they are already a little bit brighter than the other trees at the left. And I thought when I maybe could get a little light spot at the right, just to get a connection, just to get a triangle maybe, what leads us a little bit back to the lake, it really could work. And I came up so many times with clouds, with gaps up in the clouds and so on. And it never worked. I've been up there, I think 5 times or something like this, and finally I gave already up. I said to myself, I have already the teleshot in my bag. I was really happy with it. It's really a strong photograph. But then there happened one thing. My wife has a yoga course, and usually it's on Thursday. And I always tried to use a day where my wife had organized anything else. And so there happened something. So the yoga course wasn't on Thursday, it was already on Wednesday. And I didn't plan anything for this day, and I thought, why not? Let's go out. I didn't check the weather maps, to be honest. I just thought, let's go up here. And I had gaps up. It's absolutely amazing. I had really gaps up, and I get light spot there and where in the landscape. And the really tricky thing is, what I forgot to mention is, when I have a look down there at this rock, I had really to go very, very close. I think I've gone around 20 centimeters to the rock, really close. So only for the rock I needed 3 points for focus stacking and another 2 points in the distance. And the tricky thing is, if you have gaps and you have light spots there and where in the landscape, you have to be really fast with exposing. And so I waited for a light spot, I focused to a more distance point, and finally I got really a light spot at the right side, there where the trees are really brighter than around. It was a thing of just a few seconds. I took the exposure and I took the other 4 exposures. It wasn't the biggest problem for the others then, because the closer I came, the more and more it got unimportant to get the light back there. I only had to be careful that my foreground would not be illuminated too much, that it really fits with the scene, how it really happened. And finally, I really got out this one photograph. It's absolutely amazing. I went up, I think it were 25 times. I invested more than 200 times with the processing, with the planning, with everything. I learned so much. I learned so much about landscape photography with this 200 hours project. It's absolutely amazing, and I can really recommend, look for such a project. There's no need that it's a 200 hours project, but look for anything where you can go back, where you really invest time, where you really think about. Not only on the place where you are out, also when you go back to your office, to your computer, where you think about the composition, that you have to tweak maybe a little bit about it. And so it's a really, really special place for me. It's something like my place, it's something like my treasure if you want. It's absolutely amazing. And this is also the reason why the title of the image is Treasure's View. It's really this tight connection what I have with this photograph. It's a personal thing. It's difficult to explain. If I just would post it on Instagram, it were maybe a great photograph. But I think no one would really understand the effort what I put in this project, into this photograph. Today photographs are taken so fast with the phone everywhere. A snap here, a snap there. What is a great thing, I think. But if you really want to improve your photography, it's more than snapping around. It's really about thinking, about the composition, about the light, about the weather, about everything, about the right timing. And here everything came together. And so for me, it's really, I think maybe it's the most important photograph for myself, what I ever took. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If yes, please give me a thumb up, share this video with your friends, maybe on Facebook, Instagram. It would really help me to grow this channel. Subscribe to my channel if you didn't have already. So thank you so much for watching. See you next Saturday. Thank you. Bye.